So Kaylee and I kicked around the idea of doing really short reviews for movies. Just some shorts.
Real short.
So They Live in the Gray. What'd you think? Bye.
Bye.
No. All right, we won't do that yet.
Not yet.
But
soon.
I already feel like I wasted enough time on this movie because it's 2 hours and 4 fucking minutes long.
It's a long one.
There's no reason. None. Zero reason for this to be 2 hours and 4 minutes long. In fact, there's no reason for this movie to be 1 minute long.
1 minute long.
No, that's not. It's not that bad.
No, it's not. It's not that bad.
This movie has a good concept. I like the concept, right? So what happens here is we have this CPS worker who has recently lost a child, and she gets this new case of this kid who is being potentially harmed by her parents, and the parents tell her that they have a ghost in the house, and wouldn't you know it, but the CPS worker that comes to their house also happens to be clairvoyant.
Yeah, she's clairvoyant.
Yeah.
Or psychic.
Psychic people, can psychic people see the dead? I thought psychic people had a range,
I guess
a variety.
clairvoyant is that they can see.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's the
clairvoyant.
Yeah. The voyant part.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Her name's not Claire, though.
No, it's not.
Actually, I don't remember what her name was. Could be Claire.
I don't think it is.
I don't care. Anyway, so I like the concept of like there is abuse going on in a house. A CPS worker is asked to go over and sort shit out. She's dealing with her own trauma because the irony, right, is that she's supposed to be protecting children and her child is dead. But I like this idea that, you know, a kid is being harmed by an entity. CPS is called in. They go to investigate this. And it's like, well, what the fuck do you tell the courts? And how do you as a CPS worker, especially a clairvoyant one, but like even if she wasn't clairvoyant and you took that whole angle out of it and you were to just have it be she seeing this shit going on in this, that would start to screw with her world too because her kid's dead. And now she's starting to think she's seeing ghosts and maybe she thinks she's losing it. Mm-hmm. But I really like that concept of, you know, what do you do in that scenario when the unbelievable is happening, right? It's the Conjuring, the devil made me do it case of like, you know, I'm possessed by the devil. Right. How do you get that to stick? Yeah, in court. You know, if it's real. Right. You know, if it actually really is happening, what do you do? Sure. You know, if the kid keeps getting abused and all these things are happening and then the courts come in and they're like, well, what's happening here? And it's like, it's a ghost. It's a ghost. They're going to be like, you're fired and this kid is going. Yes. So that's a tough situation and I do like that they could have played with it. The problem with the movie. Okay. The problem with the movie is that it's dull. It's got a very like dark and dreary kind of feeling, but it also feels kind of cheap and I don't like the way that it looked. Mm-hmm. You know? Yeah. Like They Live in the Gray. Yeah, they do. It's gray. It's very gray. So they do. I mean, it lives up to the title, I suppose. That's not what the title means, of course. You find out later in the film what that is. But regardless, okay, so the main actress is the woman, one of the people who was in the movie The Invitation. The Asian girl who wants to do cocaine in The Invitation. Right. She is the CPS worker, and then the little girl that she's looking after is the actress who played the little girl in the most recent Don't Breathe 2 movie. Phoenix, I think was her name. I think that is her name, in that movie. I think you're right. But yeah, so the performances in this, they're fine. Honestly, what is one of my big issues, and I pointed it out a lot, was I really didn't like framing choices.
I didn't either. I think the framing was like we were saying during the movie, done for artistic purposes,
Yes.
but it just didn't work well with me or with you. I don't know, like, I think technically the movie's fine. Like, the acting was okay, the concept's cool, but it was really long. It felt like it didn't need to be that length.
Really long.
And, that's not to say, like, because we love long films. Like, there's no, problem with the film being longer, but it just, I don't know that there was that much in the story that they had to actually fill out the 2-hour runtime.
Sure, I mean, we watched like 4 2.5-hour movies in the last week.
None of the ones that we watched that were 2.5 hours dragged the way that this one did.
Oh, no.
So I think maybe it's a pacing issue too, but it also just felt like there wasn't that much new information coming in.
It's
it was a lot of repeats and like
stretching what you have.
Yeah.
Right.
So
yeah, there's definitely a lot of repetitive stuff going on in here for sure that could have been condensed dramatically. I feel this movie could have been an hour and 20 and still told the exact same story and actually been more successful because their audience wouldn't have checked out by that point. They might have still been invested. But I also have to mention, it was something that I kept bringing up throughout us watching it after it happened because I found it to just be so fucking funny. I've never seen this done before. So you guys know how when a scene plays and like someone is there behind them and it goes done, like the the stinger.
Yeah.
So there's 3 stingers in a row from camera movement, and it was so fucking funny. So it's like a hand, and then like a person, and then a face.
It's back to her, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like done, done, done.
It was so much.
It was so fucking funny. It was
comical.
so funny because like 2 of them didn't need the stinger.
Oh,
and then this
absolutely
movie had
not.
multiple stingers that didn't really work.
Yeah.
They were kind of like done, and it was like
You're like, oh.
I was looking around like, what? What did I miss? Where is it? It had a couple stingers that I was just so confused on why. It's not like Michael Myers appearing in the shadows behind Laurie Strode. Like, that's a stinger moment, right?
Sure, yeah.
But, like, nothing?
Just nothing.
There was literally, it was just, like, her by herself.
Yeah.
And it made that noise, and I was like, looking around the screen, like, what'd I miss? Where is it? I couldn't find it.
Yeah.
And I was like, am I fucking missing
totally
something?
Unnecessary.
So there's that. The film it just drags. I found it to be boring. But I do like concepts. I do like the twist in the end, but that left me with multiple questions. That I was like, not screaming out, but I was like, why wouldn't it do this then?
Yeah.
Right? Like, it didn't make any sense. Why wouldn't this happen if that's the case?
Mm-hmm.
That kind of stuff was, like, irritating to me. But it's one of those things I guess you just have to accept. And also the mother of the kid who's being abused by the ghost is the gymnast from Final Destination 5, who has my favorite death in that franchise. And I just showed Kaylee all 5 of those this last week, so it was kind of ironic
it was
that
cool
she
to
popped
see her.
up so quick. I mean, we watched Final Destination 5 maybe 3 days ago, really
recently.
So
I was actually not a huge fan of her performance though in this film. I liked the main actress and the girl, but there's the part at the end that's kind of like her main, scene that I found to be just a little cheesy, and I couldn't really figure out what it was, but it just didn't work for me. Everything up until then I think was fine with her, but the big scene with her, I was just kind of like, wasn't really working.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't love any performance in this period. So, as far as, performances go, I'm not giving, much praise to anybody. I don't think anyone's terrible. I don't think anybody's amazing. I just think that they're adequate.
Yeah.
And that was fine. I was like, okay. But it's just, it drags. And I didn't like how it looked. I had too many questions. There were stingers that didn't need to be there. There's repetitive scenes. There's questions that I was left with on multiple things that weren't thought provoking. It was more of like, what?
What?
So
yeah.
yeah. I think that's about it.
I don't really have a whole lot else to say about it.
Yeah,
We
I'm
have
sure I have
reviews,
other
so.
things that I was wanting to say, but I don't care.
This is one of those movies where it's like, it would be better to hate it so much, because then at least we'd be passionate and like talking about like how much we despised it.
Yeah, movies on
But
blah on.
because
I'm
it's
kinda
just like a blah
yeah.
movie. It's just I don't really want to spend a whole lot of energy talking about it.
Sure.
So
Yeah. But yeah, it's on Shudder. Obviously, we didn't do anything to sell it.
no, we didn't. But I don't know. I guess watch the trailer.
It's
Maybe.
one of those movies
Maybe watch it.
where someone can see ghosts, and every like 10 to 15, 20 minutes or something, they see one, and it's kind of supposed to be scary, but this never felt scary except for one face
One face
that
in the
had
beginning.
distorted features on it. But she thinks that maybe that was just that person's face. I think the features on her jaw were distorted by some kind of a filter or something. Either way, that was the only thing that was like, ooh, what was that? That was kind of creepy looking.
Yeah.
But yeah, this movie's more about the drama,
Yeah,
even though the horror is technically there. Really, what we're focusing on in the movie is the dramatic cues, right? Like, we're more supposed to attach ourselves to the sadness and the emotions of it more than to be scared. So I feel like this film isn't trying to be a horror movie as much as it's trying to be like some poignant tragedy.
Sure. Yeah. I had a hard time. Normally, with movies around this subject line, I can get invested very easily because
Sure.
it's like the most tragic thing
Family
that you can
drama is my
imagine.
favorite horror.
Well, yeah, family drama, but then also like losing children or anything like that. Like all of that.
Hereditary.
Yeah. Well, usually rope me in very easily, but I was having a really hard time connecting, and I don't know if that was like lack of build up to like the before the tragic event or what, but it just wasn't there for me. So I like couldn't really latch on anywhere.
Yeah, I feel like if someone took this and did it with a similar setup, but just did it differently, this could totally work.
Sure.
So the
Yeah,
idea
that's
is
the concept,
there.
right?
It's just it's the execution for us. But yeah, that's it.
That's it.
I don't really. Yeah, I'm done with this one. That's a shame.
Yeah.
Oh well.